Well, hey YouTube, welcome back my friends once again to Whiskey 3 Charlie Tango, W3CT, your good old friend Jack. Back up here once again in the old Jack Shack. Man, it's been so cold and rainy outside, I haven't been able to do anything lately. But I have a very interesting, not really new, but it's going to have a new twist to it. So it's going to be a new antenna build. So let's go ahead and get started right after this. Yeah, welcome back, everybody. I hope you've been having a good winter season, I guess it is. Although it is now finally made it into April, so April showers brings no park activations. But I figured I told my wife this morning I've been buying all these parts. I got so many parts and pieces to build antennas with, and different projects that I started looking at everything and thought I better get started building some of this stuff. So this morning I ran to our local hardware store, and yes, it was closed, and I couldn't buy the project box. But what I want to do is I'm going to start with the core build, and I'm going to tell you about that. What I'm building is a 9-to-1 unknown. Don't shut off and be like, oh, Jack, everybody's done that. I know, but this is a twist. I have to build a project box big enough because I'm also going to put a 1-to-1 choke inside the box with the 9-to-1 unknown. So my thought process is hook it to a wire, screw a coax in, and you have a 9-to-1 unknown with a built-in choke. So I think that's going to be a very interesting project. I hope it is. It's a new twist. A lot of people build 9-to-1 unknowns. I know I've watched thousands of series on YouTube about them. And I'm also going to build this project box a little differently than what everybody else has. I bought some specialized parts I'm going to be using to put in this project. So without further ado, and without me babbling on forever, let's go ahead. I'm going to spin this camera around, and I'm going to show you the actual parts that I bought. I'll tell you about the actual toroids, the cores I'm using, because somebody asked me before, Jack, you don't explain the core. I'm going to do that today, so you'll see what core I'm actually using. And not only that, after this video, after you watch this video, if you scroll down to the description, I'll have every link in there where I bought these parts at. Most of the parts came from Amazon, so it's pretty easy. And if you use the links, it does help the shows out a little bit. It helps me buy more parts. That's all I do is use that money to buy more parts. And you get that by being an affiliate with Amazon. So I'm not going to lie to you. If you click on my links, it's an affiliate, and it does help the show out. All right, let's go ahead, spin the camera around here, and have a look at these parts, and I'll explain them to you as we go along. Okay, here's just a brief look at the layout this morning. I do like to lay all my parts out so I know exactly what projects I'm building and what I'm going to use in the build itself. Now, I'm also thinking if I get this right and get this project built perfectly, I may actually take these parts, put it into some kind of kit form. I told my wife that the biggest problem people have is drilling the box out. So I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, if I get this built right, I'll sell this kit, but I'll pre-drill the boxes is what I'm thinking. So that way when you get it, you just have to do the wiring part, the soldering part, and get everything inside the box, and that's about it. So, but with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the equipment here. All right, first let's talk about the tools. So I got a pair of needle nose pliers here to help get the wire around the toroid. I have a measuring tape so I can measure the wire out naturally, right? That's a good thing to have. So that's about the only tools that you're going to need really to get this box built. Now, to get the actual project box, I suggest, or I would recommend, you buy a step-down bit so you can drill the box. I bought one, and man, it's a fantastic tool. You drill a couple pilot holes, run that down through there a couple times, keep fitting your connectors, and it is just amazing to get your PL239s in. Okay. The next thing of the project here, the actual 9-to-1 unknown is going to be residing on this core here, this toroid, okay? This is an FT240-43 ferrite toroid core is what this one is right here, okay? Again, I'll give you that number again, and it'll be in the description below so you can buy this. a FT240-43. We're only going to use one because I was told that one should work well. Now, don't beat me up in the comments below. Again, you can leave me, constructive criticism is fine. But this one will be good enough for, I run 80 watts out of my main station here at the house, okay, on my Icon. The choke, and I built that choke before, you can go back and watch that video. I'll also link it at the end of this video. The choke is going to be built on this ferrite core. This is an FT140-43. Okay, I'll be building the choke onto here. That's my plans right now anyway. All right, that's fine. Obviously we have, and I don't think it's marked on here anywhere, RG316. This is the 50 foot I bought, and this is probably more than I'll probably use in my lifetime, but this is the 50 foot that I bought to build the chokes with. This is what I built my last choke with. It works amazing. So I'll be using it again to build this choke that will be together. So my idea is both of these ferrites will be in the same box. That's the idea here. That's the plan. So that is that part. Now, I'm watching some people do their soldering. They just leave open connections. I don't like that, and I'm not taping it. So I figured I would use some heat shrink. And yes, this is not the glued heat shrink. I do have that in another box down here somewhere. Yeah, I do. Because a lot of you said, Jack, build it, buy the stuff that's got the glue on it or something. So I also bought this heat shrink. But I'm saving this stuff for anything that's going to be out in the weather, okay? Being this will not be in the weather, it's going to be in a weather-type box. I'm going to use this stuff because I bought it. And I think I'll use this today to actually, once I solder the cables together, the wire, I'll actually use this to actually shrink above it to make it just a neater job, I think. That's what I'm trying to go with here, okay? All right, that's that. I don't want to drop anything. The wire we're using today is 18 gauge. This happens to be solid wire, 18 gauge solid wire. You can see I bought a box of multicolor for this reason of building ununs, or for building, basically ununs. Or balans. I guess you can use this in a balan if you want. So I got the different multiple color wire here. And I'll put a link to this in the description, as I said below. Okay. The next thing I thought I'd put on, instead of putting, a lot of guys put wing nuts on their boxes. I don't really like those. I mean, they're functional and it's okay, I get it. But I like these things, these terminals where you can loosen up. It's got a nice big holder in the center of it. You see that? So you can run your wire through there. And I just think it's a cleaner look than using wing nuts. Again, it'll go through the box okay. And I'll be able to put my wire on here for my antenna lead, because the red one's going to be for the antenna lead, okay? And I'm also going to, I watched a gentleman build an Unun a couple days ago. He didn't put a counterpoise lead on, and do you need it? I don't know. He just put it right to the shielded side of his PL259, which is fine. But I want to add this, just in case I want to throw a counterpoise on with my wire. Again, it's just another one. You buy these as a set. Again, the link will be in the description. Now, what I'm going to do with the antenna wire itself is, so I don't have to mess with unscrewing this and screwing this in and unscrewing this and screwing that. That's a pain, right? Not hard, I know that. Jack, quit being a crybaby. I get it. But what I want to do here, what I really want to do, is make this as easy as I can antenna to put up. So we are going to use some banana clips. I'll put this on my wire, which I'll be using speaker wire, I'm pretty sure, for this build. And just be able to plug it right in. So my idea is, I believe I'll be cutting a 83 foot piece of wire, 83 foot speaker wire, and a 14 foot counterpoise with my 9-to-1 Unun. So that'll give me 80 through 10. So that's what I'm looking for, to get on 80 meters. So that's what I'll be using for those. When I get the project box, of course. So I think I'll probably split this video up to a couple parts here, but we'll see how it goes. These are my PL259s. I bought the other ones also. that have the plate around it with the screws on it. But I do like these ones with the little, I guess that's a hex nut on there. I just think it makes a cleaner job. You guys seen the choke that I built, and I just think this makes it a really nice clean job without a bunch of extra metal sticking around. So that is that. Okay, so that is all the parts that I'm going to need to build this thing. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get my wire cut, and I'm going to cut 30 inches. I think 30 inches will be enough. I have to get 9 wraps around this thing. Oh, I might not have showed you. I actually do have some zip ties. Okay, we need some zip ties just to keep it on this ferrite core here. But I'm going to get myself 9 wraps around this ferrite cord. Again, this one's going to be for the choke. So this will be the coax cable. Will go around here, which I wrapped it 9 times also. So there you go. 9 by 9. How about that? Okay, and I know, like I said, a lot of people build these things, but I think this is the first time. I haven't seen anything on the YouTubes that has both of these in one box. So that way you put your wire on there, right? Get your antenna wire on there. Get your counterpoise down there, right? Get your counterpoise on there. Screw your coax in. And you have a full antenna with a built-in choke. So I think that's going to be the key with this build. So just something I've been thinking about, and I figured, you know what? I'm going to go for it today and start building it. Since it's so cold, so rainy, I'm not going to the park to do any POTA. So I'm here, and I want to do an antenna build. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm not going to show you cutting the wire. All I'm going to do, obviously, is pull the tape measure out to 30 inches and cut my 3 pieces, or yeah, 3 pieces of wire off, okay? And I'll show you the colors I'll be using and show you how those are put together. You obviously have seen it before, but again, this is my spin, so we'll see how much of this we put on video or how much I just wrap it and show you the end product. But I do like to kind of show everything and explain on my videos. You guys know that. If you've seen it before, just fast forward and go to the next part. Okay, guys, let me go ahead and get the wire cut. Okay, guys, so whoa, that was packed on tight. So the colors I will be using today is going to be blue, green, and yellow. You can use any colors you want. You can use all the same color if you want, as long as you can identify the cables or the wire when you're done. And you could do that with an ohm meter. Now, this is the exact diagram that the gentleman I watched, and I'm going to give him credit. So his link to his YouTube videos will be in the description below. I'm going to give this guy credit because he said, print this off of his thing, put your own spin on it. So this is my spin today. And he used, as you can see, hopefully you can see yellow, green, and blue. Okay. And he has these clearly marked as A1, B1, C1, A2, B2, and C2. So you can see exactly how they're going to be wired up and connected. But we'll look at that when we get done. And I'll show you the spin I'm going to put on this stuff. I first have to get the wires cut. So let me go ahead and do that. Again, I got the blue, the green, and the yellow. Okay, blue, green, and yellow. All right, let me get the wires cut here, and then we'll get underway of wrapping. Okay, so I got my wires cut. I got blue, green, and yellow. Now, the trick to wiring an unun, or winding an unun, is to keep these wires in the same order every time you go through that core. So, now this is the tricky part. So, here's our core. And we're going to go so far up here. And I've done a lot of network cabling in my time. So if you see here, I actually got these really straight already. Okay. The trick to straightening wires is, I show my kids, if you bend this thing and put your fingers on there as you're moving your hand, you see how straight you can get those? Okay. So we're going to start off here. I don't really know how much I need. So I did, I measured down 5 inches. I'm going to put a kink in that right there. Okay. There we go. So at that point, I'll stick this through the toroid, okay? Get these down, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a zip tie on these to hold these right there, all right? Let's get myself a zip tie. I have to go back to Harbor Freight and get some more zip ties. I don't know if you guys have Harbor Freights around here or not, but man, they're cheap with zip ties. I think I'll pull on top here. All right, just back down here, nice and tight. Cables together. I might not be able to do this in front of the camera. Sorry about that, guys. All right. That's with the zip tie, and that'll show you what it's going to start out as, okay? Now you see here, I want the wires to stay in the same order every single pass on here. And we have to go through the cord 9 times. That'll be 9 turns, okay? So that would signify, right here, this first one, would signify as 1, because it's going through the core, okay? So we need 8 more turns and come out on the other side. Again, I don't know how much, now I'll do this through the camera. You're just going to have to kind of wing it and get these through there, okay? I will show you the finished product. So I'm going to go ahead and take my time and wind this thing, because I cut mine at 30 inches. I just wanted to make sure I had enough wire. The gentleman I put the link in the video to, he set his to 30, and he said you probably need 24. But for as cheap as the wire was, I gave myself some extra to work with. All right? Okay, I'll show you the finished toroid once I'm done, before we do any of the soldering joints. Okay, let's do that. I'm going to show you one pass of this because I feel that this is a great way to do this. So you can see I got my first one through there, okay? When you get your wire lined up and your colors in order, push with your thumb and push it through. And then pull your excess wire through there. It makes it easy and it allows you to see the colors as they're going through. Okay? So there and it's keeping it really nice and tight on there. Okay? Alright, I just wanted to show you a pass anyway. And you can see they're still in order. Yellow, green, blue. Yellow, green, blue. Okay? Pull it a little tighter there. There we go. Alright, let me get the rest of these wrapped. Okay, there's my final wrap job. So I went through the top here. I got the first one here is going through the cords. 1, 2, 3. Maybe these away from each other a little bit more here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. All the colors stayed in sequence. They're all in order. And they're extremely tight on there, so worked out well. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and on this side here, I am going to get myself another zip tie and zip tie this side right here so I can keep that nice and tight. Okay. All right. Again, this is hard to do while on camera. I mean, I'll try it. All you got to do is go through. Get in your zip tie. Make sure she's tight on there. All right. There you see the wrap core now, okay? That's the completed, finished core. And look how much extra wire. I did have too much. So I would say cut this at 30. I did mine at 35. I think it's way too much. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I got to cut some of this wire off here. I got plenty up here for my connections. Then we'll look at the sheet. I'll get the soldering iron out. We'll start soldering this thing up so we can make the electrical connections. Okay. And then, like I said, I'm going to wind my toroid, which I wound before. And I'm going to have to split enough of the centerpiece out. Yeah, I got to figure that out. Anyway, so I'll get that figured out there. But, all right. So let's go ahead and do that. Set this thing up. Let me, I don't know if my magic hands will hold this or not. Make it a lot nicer. Oh, I'm sorry, just thinking out loud. Okay, so I'm going to cut this wire off here, get this out of the way, and I think we'll be ready to start making the electrical connections, and we'll see how those turn out. Okay, let me go ahead and get this set up. Okay, till you build a few of these things, I would recommend, especially if you're using this chart here. Now let me try to get this evened up here so you get a, if you want to take a screenshot of that. And as you can see, I printed it in color. Just makes more sense in color anyway. If you look at my wires, it looks exactly the same, okay? The only thing different is this one came over the top somehow and that came over the top some. I guess I don't know how that worked out. Anyway, but anyhow. So, but you can see it's the same color codes. A1 is yellow, B1 is green, C1 is blue, A2 is yellow, B2 is green, and C2 is blue, okay? So I want it to be exactly the same, so that way I could just follow the directions of the colors. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this yellow, move it out of the way. We're going to move this blue out of the way, okay? So we got B1 is going to be attached to the A2. That's what we got to do next, okay? That's going to be the first electrical connection we're going to make. So let me get my wire strippers out here, strip this down. I'm going to put a piece of heat shrink over here. So once I make the connection to solder, I'm going to pull the heat shrink over. That's my plan anyway. And we're going to heat shrink that on there just to make a closed, nice connection. That's also make sure it's not going to short out to anything, but just I think it just makes it a nicer connection. We'll just go with that. All right, let me go ahead and work on that. Get my soldering kit out here, and we'll get these ready to solder up. All right, guys, I just wanted to, I don't know if I put a link before in this or not, but the helping hand, the soldering helping hand here, turning out to be a pretty valuable tool. I just set the alligator clips up to clip onto the wires, okay? And, I mean, they're not really digging into the wire or anything. They're just holding it on there. But it's going to let me get these stripped off here and actually get a nice solder joint and be able to have my hands free and this thing's not tumbling all over the place. So it's just really good to have that. Again, I'll have a link in the description for the helping hand also. I think these are about 10 bucks, but if you do any soldering at all, these are worth having for sure. So anyway, it makes it a lot easier to work on your bench. Okay. Okay, guys. So I got the green on the top and the yellow on the bottom ready to go. Okay. I cut the heat shrink down. Now, I do like to use flux soldering paste. Just going to put a little bit of this on there. Okay. Never hurts. Helps to get the solder in there. Helps to clean the joint a little bit. Get my soldering iron warm enough there. Also, you know what I'll do, in case you don't have one, I'll also put a link in the description for the soldering kit that I purchased from Amazon, of course. I mean, all right. Heat this up a little bit. Now try to heat the joint. I heat the wires. I'll get the solder in there. Okay. Looks pretty good. Looks like I got it all cleaned up there. Okay. It's a good solder joint. Okay. Hopefully I didn't melt my heat shrink. No, I didn't. I got a little bit warm. I'll let that cool just a little bit more. Then I'll get my heat shrink over there. I'm going to try to use a lighter for this heat shrink. It'd be better if probably if I had a if I actually had a heat gun. Looks pretty good that side. Let's flip this. We'll do the other side here. Trying to get that to go down a little bit, suck it down on there. That's all right. So, do you need to heat shrink? Probably not. Does it make it look nice? Yeah, makes a nice connection. Okay. So, the next connection we need, take this off of here. Make sure I didn't nip the wires, which I did not nip the wires. Okay. They're good. The insulation's good. Okay. Heat shrink's on there. It ain't going anywhere. Okay. I probably need a longer piece of heat shrink, but that's going to have to do. No problem. Okay. All right. Let's see here. The green was on the top, so this is the top again. This is the bottom. Okay. Switch these back around here. All right. So all we got left now on the bottom here is the blue and the green. Okay. So we got B2 and C2. And on the top here, you got the yellow should be above that one. Yeah, I guess it's just a little bit off there. No problem. Okay. So on the top here, you have A1 and C1. Okay. All right. So what we need next is the blue wire. Okay, the yellow wire, this wire is going to the antenna. Okay, so that's going to go to the red lug for the antenna wire. Okay, so that's kind of on its own. But we need to get the blue wire. The blue wire is actually going to go to the green wire, right? The green wire has to go into the blue wire, is what we got next to do. So let me figure out how I'm going to cut that back, because I want to leave this one long. This one doesn't need to be that long. It could be tight, tight in here. So let me look at this and see where I want to strip that off at, and actually get this green wire to wrap around it. Let me see if I can't do that. Okay, now the only way I can see to do this is to bring the green wire up, and you have to twist it into the blue wire, because it says it's tapped kind of in the center of the blue wire. So I'm going to try that, because I have to leave this blue wire, because remember, that's the antenna feed coming up this way. So we need that wire to be long. This wire is going to be cut off anyway. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of solder on here now. So let's go ahead and do that next. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and again add just a little bit of flux on there, or solder paste, or whatever you want to call this. Okay, it also helps to clean it, but I've also found it helps to pull the solder in. Alright, let me see how I can hold the soldering iron to get in here, get a view for you, and make it functional for me. Guys, if you're doing any antenna builds, I could definitely say buy yourself a soldering kit. Alright, looks pretty good. Okay. A little bit right there. Okay, that looks good. Okay. Alright. So what I was thinking of doing is putting maybe a piece of heat shrink on there. I don't know. I did pick up a couple extra tools I didn't show you earlier. You should have wire strippers. Okay, some way to strip the wires off. And you should have snips. Okay, to snip these wires down. Alright. Let's just see. And I definitely got to get myself a heat gun. That'd be something I need to look into. Something to heat this heat shrink up a little better. Let's see what size we got here. Again, I'm just doing this just to make sure all my wires are not going to touch. And I don't think you're going to short out anyway, but let's see if we can't heat that up a little bit. Pull this out of the way. What's really interesting with this build is the blues are both your SO239s. Okay, so You still have this one. This top one here is for the antenna wire. Okay. This, oh, I better close these up. This thing's all go to the floor. I'll have a bad day. The blue wire here, this top blue wire, right, that the green's connected to, goes to your center connector of your SO239 on there, okay? And then this bottom blue wire is actually the shield or the ground, okay? So my next thought is now what I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead, and I'm not going to show you this part about building the choke. If you want to, I'll link the video in the description at the end here, or I'll put it up above, you know, in the cards. And I'll show you the video that you can go back and build the choke. So it's the same choke. The only thing different is I'm going to build it, and my plan is to solder it to these leads here. Okay, this will go to the center conductor. This will go to the shield. And then I can have both of these in my box, like so. Have both these in my box together. This one going to the antenna. I'm also going to run another wire off of here, though, because I'm going to take another wire. And as I said, I'm going to put a lug on there for a counterpoise. So that's the idea there behind that one. Okay, so far it came out really good. All the electrical connections are completed. Everything's ready to roll. So there you have that. That's let's call this maybe part 1. Doing the box would be part 2. How about that? All right, so I'm going to let that go and just say this is part 1. Again, this is a 9-to-1 Unun. Okay, this will be used for a random wire antenna. My plan is, and I'm pretty sure it's right, 83-foot wire with a 14-foot counterpoise is what I'm building with this thing. But it'll have a built-in choke, so I won't need any additional chokes on the line at all. So, and if it works out, I may build myself another one for the field. Who knows? All right, so that's it. We're going to wrap this video up. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching part 1 of my 9-to-1 Unun with included choke build. And hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully you got something out of it. Like I said, building a 9-to-1 Unun is nothing new. They're all over the internet. I'm just putting my own twist on it, and something that I wanted to try to do to see if it would work out. And I don't see why it won't. Again, I do like constructive criticism. If you want to put something in the comments below, please do. I would truly appreciate that. And you know, let me know what I did wrong, if I did something wrong. But everything looks good right now. I know I need a heat gun for my heat shrink. The lighter kind of works. It doesn't work as well as a heat gun would probably suck that to the wire. If you have any tricks to make it adhere to the wire even easier, that would be good. I'd like to hear from you for that. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I hope it helped. As I said, I never know really what I'm going to record next. I have a lot of projects in my head that I'm working on. Stuff that I want to record, and we'll see how that goes. So I've often said, you know, I do ham radio for me, and I like to record these for historical facts for myself, and hopefully somebody gets something out of it. I'm no expert antenna builder by any means, that's for sure. You know, as you've seen, I do make mistakes. There's things that happen along the way, you know, but that's how you learn. You learn from your mistakes, right? You don't learn from your successes. The only way to success is to have some mistakes along the way. So hopefully you live by that kind of rule that I live by, and we'll see how that goes. But again, thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Until then, click that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Smash that subscribe button. I would truly appreciate you doing so. Till then, it's Whiskey 3 Charlie Tango, W3CT, your good old friend Jack, back up here once again in the Jack Shack with another antenna build for you. And I will be coming out with a part 2. Once I got to buy a project box, and then I'll go through the whole routine of drilling it out and show you what that step bit is if you've never seen a step bit, and show you how much easier it will make your life if you're building antennas. Everything that was built today will be in the description below in the link. I'll have links for everything that I used today in case you want to go ahead and build this project for yourself. I'd recommend do it. Even if you don't need a 9-to-1 Unun, it's always good to have on you when you're doing a pod activation and a piece of wire. It never hurts. All right, guys, I'll talk to you next time. 73s, hope to catch you on the airways. Bye for now, everybody.